Well, hello. I caught myself really unaware then. I'm the one doing all the switching between screens, and I caught myself completely unaware. I don't know how that happened. Hello. A fabulous welcome to Beards, Bibles, and Brews. And I see that some people are joining us live. Hello to Nikki. It's great that you can be with us. And whether you are with us live or if you're watching later, remember to like the video and also subscribe to the channel. It helps YouTube do its little computer thing with all the ones and zeros and the electro infraonics. Anything techie-wise, we just go to Simon. He tells us how it works. But I think that sounds about right. So I am Tom, and this wonderful, hairy friend of mine is Simon. Hello, Simon. It's great to see you today, mate.
Hey, mate. How are you doing?
I am not too bad. I'm not too bad at all.
Awesome. Yes, I think electro-infratronics is in fact the precise technical term that you are looking for then. So definitely hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button as well, and then you'll never miss an episode. But do you know what? We're actually going to make it so much easier for people to come and join us, because we have been a little chaotic and a little off in terms of when we've been doing things. But from now on, friends, if you want to tune in, if you want to get your monthly dose of Beards, Bibles, and Brews, we will be live every last Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. So the last Thursday of each month at 2 p.m. we will be here on YouTube chatting about Jesus and coffee and beards. Do you know what? We need to introduce a new beard care section. I think from next month, maybe we need to have a beard care section.
We'll talk about coffee, we'll talk about beards, and then at some point we'll introduce something Bible-based.
I think that is the way. That is. Yeah. On which note, I am consuming my coffee from my Mandalorian mug. It's a gift from my youngest son for my birthday last month. So, Tom, what is in your mug today? Is that a catchphrase?
I like what's in my. I like you've got a sort of a robot note to you today. Speaking of in other notes, you sound a bit Dalek-y, Simon.
Do I?
Yeah, but you're fine earlier, so I don't know. It might be my speakers. Who knows? But in my mug today, speaking of notes, I have a Colombian coffee with apparently a chocolatey and caramel note, and it's. I've just been drinking black coffee lately. I've gone off milk over the last few weeks, and I'm not quite sure why. So I've got a long black, which is like an Americano, but it's a bit stronger. You have less water in it, and a Colombian coffee with chocolate and caramel notes.
Very nice.
And what about you? What's in your mug?
Well, at the risk of being a little bit sort of cliched and standard, I've gone back to a flat white today. This one is from a Tassimo machine, so I didn't even make it. I didn't grind it. I know. And Tom sent me a package of coffee beans for me to grind myself. We did have some really nice Jamaican coffee in there that we had, but I didn't have very much time today, so I quickly stuck the Tassimo machine on. Other coffee makers are available, and did a flat white, and it is really good. It's really good going on.
But Simon, I don't know what it's like there in the deep, dirty south where you are, but up here in Telford today, it is absolutely glorious. It's sun shining, the weather is sweet, and when the day is nice, I always feel rubbish that I'm not out enjoying it with everyone. And I'm one of those people who I just love to be outside in the sun. So when it's sunny, I just feel like I'm missing a little bit of myself, not being able to be out. But that extra time inside that we've been doing lately, which we're all so used to now, it's often used for discovering new things. For example, I this week found out a very interesting fact. Are you ready? I'm going to ask you this. And Nikki, we will forgive you for having a soft drink at the moment and not a coffee, because it is so sunny up here in sunshiny Telford. I think it's acceptable. But let me ask you this. What can dive deeper, a blue whale or a penguin?
Well, you see, the thing is, I've got the answer up here because I've got your notes. But I know that the answer you want me to give is blue whale. So I'd
have thought blue whale. Who would say penguin?
Yeah,
blue whale, fighting with a kraken down at the bottom of the sea. That's what happens in my mind. Well, whales dive 500 meters. An emperor penguin. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
565 meters they can dive. That is crazy, isn't it? Absolutely. Yeah. That's just blown my mind this week. If that's true, what else is true that I don't know about? That is the thing. What have you found out new this week, Simon? Has there been anything that you found out?
New things? Oh, my life is a constant rediscovery of new things, mostly to do with homeschooling. I mean, you're homeschooling as well. You and your wife, and me and my wife, we're homeschooling too. So I'm continually having to learn things like new maths, which I don't understand. To be fair, I didn't understand old maths either. And then they've gone and pulled the little rug, the little grasp on maths that I felt I had. They pulled that out from under me, and it's disappeared, and it's all new maths, and I don't get it. And frankly, I just feel remarkably stupid when my 10-year-old goes, yeah, but Dad, it goes like this. I said, well, okay, that's fine. That's fine. This week, though, what's been really cool is my youngest son has been learning about Neil Armstrong, who was the first man on the moon. I don't know why I had to explain that. Most people know.
Thanks for that. Yeah.
That's okay. But he's
about coffee and beards.
Yeah, well, there you go. You see, it's just we're the gift that keeps giving. The gift that keeps giving. But what I have been doing this week is I've been trying to build some better downtime into my life. Now, you know what this is like, and I know a lot of people who are watching this will know what this is like. Rest is really important, and taking time off from work and from stresses and from other things that are going on, and just doing something you really, really enjoy. Now, I don't know, am I about to reveal a big secret? Because we have something in common here, something
Go for it. I don't know. I'm excited though. Go for it.
I didn't prep you for this. So you may or may not know our dedicated viewers that both Tom and I really like gaming. Although our tastes, I think, are slightly different. And I think, I'm really big into retro gaming in particular. Anything from the 80s and early 90s is right up my alley. And Tom, I do think you should tell everybody about what your favorite game is.
So what my favorite game is. So I won't go into the whys, right? But it's Farming Simulator. It's like the geekiest thing. Jodie's forever taking the mick out of it. So like everyone was telling me this game was amazing, like on all the review sites. So I thought, you know what? I can't see why, but I'll give it a go. And it's just so relaxing. It chills me out like no end. So yeah, there we go. That is my guilty pleasure that I've developed over this last year.
And what have you recently purchased in order to make your farming simulator more realistic?
A little steering wheel.
A little steering wheel. But you know what? I think there's something you're missing in your game. I think what you're missing is the physical realities of being on the farm. So while you're doing your tractoring and stuff, do you get that? The physical.
I love a bit of a rumble.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've got a video that might just inspire you on a DIY homemade project. So check this out.
Let's have a see. Simon, that's like extreme. That's like extreme feedback. I can see like the whole house shaking just while I'm gaming. I love that.
Could you imagine if you lived in the flat below that guy, though? I mean, that would be a nightmare.
Gosh, it's time. I think with that, it's time to welcome our guest before you and I get down a deep dark avenue nowhere near where we're supposed to be, which happens so often. I'm really surprised that we managed to keep these to half hour, because you and I normally just like gas on, and I think I've just filled another 2 minutes there. Our guest today, she's absolutely awesome. She's one of those people who's just so blessed by God in a whole load of different areas. You know, those people, these people like you and I, Simon, we've got like one thing. We do like one thing. Yeah. And then there's those people who just do so much. Like they've got fingers in all these different pies. We spoke to John last week, who was one of those guys.
Yeah.
They do so much for God in a whole load of different areas. So she's a Baptist minister and also a regional minister also in the west of England. She's also a church consultant with the London Institute of Contemporary Christianity. It's my absolute pleasure and my privilege, and I'm super excited. I know you're super excited as well to have her today. Please, everyone, do welcome on our wonderful friend, Lindsay Caplen. Lindsay, it's great you can be with us today. Thank you for coming and joining us.
Hi, it's fantastic to be with you, actually. I was just thinking, look, here's it's one of those mugs that, oh, there we are, one of those mugs that as you drink down, the colour disappears.
Yeah.
I like goats, so there you are. I'm into farming by drinking out of a goat.
Is that a goat? I can't see that. Oh, it's a cat with glasses on.
It's a goat, but it looks more like a goat when it's full. There we are.
When it's full. Oh, I like that. So
you've got its little goatee ears then.
Oh, I see. So it goes black as you drink.
Yeah. Normally it would have coffee in it, but well, I don't know. I'm into coffee this lockdown. I've actually bought myself a posh coffee machine. That's been my indulgence, and I am trying desperately to make the right foam so I can do the patterns on the top of flat whites at the moment. I can make them taste good. I can make them look good without the pattern, but I haven't got quite the knack of the latte art yet. So that will be hopefully something to add to my skill base. And if you can help me when we're out of lockdown, I'd appreciate it. But
I'm just there with you. I got very similar. My mum bought me a coffee machine for my birthday, which is Christmas Eve. Not the one gone, but the one before. So it was fab in lockdown, particularly when all the coffee shops closed in that first one. So yeah, I still can't manage to get that beautiful flow of petals and stuff on.
I've got tea now, but
well, sometimes it's just got to be a tea, hasn't it? Well, Simon and I, that's a bit posh, isn't it? Simon and I, me and Simon, we're just talking about our shared love of gaming and the things that we do in private, including my private farming. There we go. But now I came upon this article the other day. You know those little clickbait things that pop up, and I had to click. So normally I never do click them because they're not normally my cup of tea. But this was 10 things people do alone when no one is watching. So I wanted to make a game out of this. I thought we could make a game out of this. 10 things people do alone when no one is watching. Don't go there, Simon.
This could be badly wrong.
What we're going to do is, I'll explain it. So I'm going to read out these 10 things, right? And you're going to say if you do them. But because it might be quite embarrassing, I don't want you to say after each one. I'm going to read the things out. I want you to keep a note of how many. Then at the end, say how many out of the 10 you do. And that way, we won't know which ones we do and which ones we don't. I thought that's a safer way to go about this whole situation. So, are you ready?
This is for both of us, yeah?
This is for all. I'm in this as well. I'm going for. I already know what my score is. I'm perfect 10. No, I'm not really. We'll see as we go. I'm just weird, whether I'm private or not. I'm just weird all the time. So, are you ready? The first one. The first one was set over 3, but I'm going to group it into one. It was all about picking things. So picking your teeth, apparently picking your ears is thing, and picking your nose, and then eating the things you find is the first one. That's apparently the main thing that people do in private. And if you're watching at home as well, I want you to play along and then afterwards stick your number in the comments box. So picking things, teeth, ears, and nose, and then eating things once they are picked. That's the first one. Have you got that? Right.
Okay.
The second one, food gorging. Gorging on food. And in fact, I was showing Simon, and I don't see, I've had to angle my camera up because I spilt noodles all down myself earlier, and it's dried off a bit now. Just I was about to come on to do this, I spilled noodles all down my front, and I was like, nah, I'll just angle the camera up. The joys of being in lockdown. So food gorging, there we go. The third one, biting fingernails. The biting fingernails, there we go. Fourth one, and I'm going to own up to this straight away because I do it. Do you know when you've got a little camera on, you're waiting for other people to join Zoom? I do this. So making silly faces in the mirror, but I'm going to expand this to all when you're on camera looking at yourself. Making a silly face and seeing what your face looks like in different expressions. The next one, I didn't get this one. Practicing your laugh. Apparently that's a thing. I've never heard of that. And I don't know, someone might be watching. If that is a normal thing, then say. But like I asked Jodie, she was like, "I've never practiced my laugh."
Sounds like something that you would do if you wanted a career as like an evil scientist or something, or a villain.
Yeah.
I think condemned half of our audience.
Two categories when you watch this show: you're either with us or you're an evil scientist.
That's it. Yeah. That's just, I'm drawing a line in the sand.
This one, singing multiple roles. So they explain in the paragraph. So you'd sing like a duet, and you'd sing like both roles to it. So you'd sing one half, then you'd sing the other half, like that sort of thing. I'm trying to think of a song that's got two people, but my mind has just gone completely blank. Simon, give us a song that's got two people.
Just the two of us.
So, you'd sing, just the two of us. Then you sing the other part, we can make it if we try. Just like that. I think that's what it means, singing multiple roles. So there we go. This one, it flows on from that. Conversations with yourself. Full blow. I see Lindsay had like a surely nod there. She's like, yes, I have a big one. I'm just going to put 5 for that one alone. This next one, stalking your ex. Apparently, when you're in private on your own, you can stalk your ex. And it means like social media, check in, see what's going off. We've all been there. We all know. Let's not dwell on that. Next one, Hollywood narrating your actions. So like Tom picks up his coffee. He looks at its brown center and takes a deep drink.
It's weird.
You know that sort of thing.
Hollywood film ever, Tom.
I thought that's my film narrator sort of voice. That I thought that was good.
No, the voice was fine. The content was weird.
Yeah. They're the sorts of films I'm into. These like weird French films.
Yeah, definitely.
When no one's looking,
just drink coffee.
Yeah.
So, while they're doing these French films, I've seen them. Next one. If Jodie would shout, definitely Tom does this if she was here. Making silly noises.
Okay.
Making silly noises. So how is that? That was 10. So I just need to count mine up now. 1. I'm 8. Simon, what are you?
I am a healthy. Oh, this is weird doing this the wrong way. I'm a healthy 6.
I'm a healthy 6. I don't think it matters which way around you do it, does it? Could you do it either way?
No, but I'm trying to move my hands into camera, and I want to go that way, but the camera's that. Oh, I don't like that.
It's frustrating. Lindsay.
I'm only 4.
Only 4?
Which is really worrying me because I thought I was weird.
That might mean that if you don't do them in private, maybe you do them in public. Maybe you're like so weird.
Totally right.
You're either more normal or more weird than Simon and I. So we shall see.
I feel like I need to point out that where Rachel's commented there, River practices his laugh. River is my youngest son, which now makes me very fearful for my future if he's going to turn out to be some kind of evil scientist. Though having said that, how cool would it be to live in a volcano? I mean, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Hot.
So swings and roundabouts, isn't it? Swings and roundabouts.
But Nikki got 5, Rachel got 4. So let us know what you got. Stick it in the comments. Let us know what you got. That was my game.
That was
privacy.
That was an awesome game. I feel like this is one of those icebreaker things that you do at the beginning of like management meetings that everybody hates. Anyway, it's time now for us to hear less from Tom and me and more from our very well-adjusted, apparently, guest. So, Lindsay, it really is absolutely great to have you here. I mean, Tom's talked a lot about the things you do, and I also want to add to that because you're also part of Bristol Baptist College as well, where you do a lot of community learning and leading that, which is fantastic too. So, you're right at the sort of the cutting edge, I would say. A lot of your work is at the cutting edge of what the church does, and particularly how the church is in culture and things like that. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong there. The big question I think that most of us have at the minute is, what's the church going to look like as we emerge from lockdown? Now that restrictions are being eased and we face that as a very real thing to look forward to, where do you see the church going in the future? So
if I'm not so worried about time, I'm sort of looking at the clock, but shall I ignore that just a little bit? Yeah. Because I think the church, people have done brilliantly during this time. People have adapted really rapidly with technology, with learning new skills. And I think, congregations have really stepped up, and you're seeing, older people getting on Zoom and stuff like that. You'd have never believed that some time ago.
Yeah.
And I think there's been a great sense of partnership across denominations as well, which has sort of emerged more. You guys have been doing things like homeschooling, as well as doing your job from home. And And, it's just incredible because I know there's constant interruptions and things like that. And so I think, people have done brilliantly. But I sense that now, we've not been able to go to a building, a church. We may be asking less, what do we do as God's people, but asking a little bit more of ourselves, who are we as God's people? And, what are we here for? And I think those questions are, I'm hearing them expressed in one way or another again and again. Who are we and what are we here for as God's people? And I think it's the same with worship as well. I think we've thought of worship as being what happens when we sing and get together in a gathered context. But I think increasingly we're having to think, well, actually, what is worship in our everyday context with the whole of our lives? And how do we help one another worship with the whole of our lives? Because we can't worship how we used to. I know there's a real sadness in that. And I long for the time we can worship together corporately again. But I hope we're discovering that the whole of life is about worship. And I think this is a season where there's been loss. There's been a sense of needing to let go of stuff. And of course, it's right to grieve that. But I also think it's important that as church, as God's people, we kind of take hold of what's really important, what the priorities God are, what God is calling us to. And I think it puts the focus more on being the priesthood of all believers. I think that's so important. And thinking of priesthood as being, what does it mean to be a people who reflect God to the world and the world back to God? And thinking about how we actually help all our people and, how all our people also take responsibility for that, for being priests wherever God has placed them that reflect the world to God and reflect God to the world. Yeah, that's right. But as we head into the future, I think the key question is not going to be how do we grow our churches so much as how do we grow disciples. And I don't mean people with more knowledge, although knowledge is good. I mean people who are learning to live the way of Jesus. And, I think churches have been really good historically at helping people know stuff. I think it's perhaps less true of the unchurched generations. Perhaps the younger people don't know so much, not so biblically literate. But I think we need a stronger focus in helping people of all generations, live out the values of Christ, and learn together how we follow Jesus with the whole of our lives. And I was thinking about the Great Commission yesterday because I was thinking a little bit about this question. And I thought, if I knew the call of Jesus, the call of the Great Commission to make disciples, in all the world, and I took that seriously, and I was asked to start a new church with no reference point. So I didn't know any other churches with no reference point, just the Bible. I don't think I'd start where we are. I don't think I'd start by setting up a Sunday morning service as the main way of doing that, making disciples. I wouldn't say, in order to make disciples, so I'm going to gather everyone together on a Sunday morning and that'll be the main deal for the week. I might want to gather people together, but I'd be wanting to gather people together to a place where people are equipped so that they can go and make disciples. They can go and live the values of Jesus wherever they are, on their front lines, in their families, their homes, out in their community, in their workplace, whether that's an online workplace right now or online gym or reality face-to-face, And I think there's a phrase, and I forget who first said it. He says, when you focus on making disciples, you get the church. But if you focus on building the church, you rarely get disciples. And I think let's keep discipleship, whole life discipleship, at the top of our agenda. Learning to follow Jesus in our contexts at each moment. And I think that's just really, really important. So sorry, that was a long answer, but
Lindsay, that's like absolute music to my. I love that idea of that whole life discipleship. And at the start, you said about not what we're doing, but who we are and how we're showing God to the world around us. And personal faith has obviously been such a huge thing through lockdown, and people have either grasped it, or some who sadly haven't. And there's this wonderful idea, and you mentioned there about people's front lines, which I'm sure many churches have looked at in the past few years, and some people who are watching will know about this. But basically, it encourages people to engage evangelistically in their front line. So family, work, at regular clubs, at groups, online gyms, wherever you are. And it focuses on these front lines as the places that faith interaction happens. And I love Frontline and everything that it's about. But Lindsay, what may have changed, and what do you think we should be aware of in our new front lines?
I think starting from the basis that I mentioned, I think asking, frontline discipleship is asking, what does it mean to be a follower of Jesus in your context at this moment in time? And so I think helping people recognize that actually every day discipleship should look a little bit different. It's not something we've done a course. It's actually something that whether you've been a Christian 60 years or 6 minutes, actually we're all disciples, learners of Jesus. So actually lockdown, how have we been learners of Jesus through the joys, through the sorrows, through the struggles, through the homeschooling? What does that look like at each moment? So I think this has not been wasted time, because actually it has been, we might not always recognize it, but a time when we are learning and growing and becoming hopefully more like Jesus, if we choose to let him shape us that way. And I think that's important. How do I orientate the whole of my life increasingly around Jesus? And that's been something I've been thinking, at a time when I can't go out and do so much necessarily, but how do I reorientate every part of my life more around Jesus? And that might be more in the local. And I actually think God's been doing something around that. I think we've been often thinking kind of big, and actually I think God's saying, actually, I want you to look at what's going on locally. I want you to develop a theology of place. I want you to think about the places you live, the places you inhabit, whether they be workplaces or whether they be literally your neighborhood. And I've been thinking again, what if we actually, our people, lived as if we actually believe what we claim we believe? What a difference that would make. If we lived within a story that not only speaks of our sinfulness, but a story that points towards kind of a compelling big story of hope, of forgiveness, of freedom from shame, of joy, of hope, a story that speaks about the extravagant, reckless love of Jesus. And we in our front lines, we are ambassadors of the King, wherever we are. We're bearers of that bigger story, bearers of shalom. I bang on about this quite a lot, but I think shalom has this incredibly rich meaning, which is so much more than peace. It is that, but it's also wholeness, completeness, reconciliation, restoration, harmony, wholeness, all those things. And it means living as people who practice gratitude and live generously. And that's the story I want to be caught up with. And I reckon that if we live that way, all the people living different chapters of their stories around us will be drawn towards wanting to be part of this compelling, richer story that we're telling. Because stories, I think people have almost lost that sense of story because life's become so fragmented. So I think if we could live differently, and I wonder what would happen if Every believer understood themselves to be bearers of shalom, ambassadors of the kingdom of God. And they understood their homes, wherever they are, to be like an outpost of the kingdom of God on the corner of their street or on their street. An outpost strategically placed by God. Whether there's one Christian there or whether the whole family is, that's still an outpost of the kingdom of God. And helping one another as well discern what God is doing and how we best join in with it. I'd love to say so much more. I just want to say a little bit more. What if pastors saw it as a key role to equip believers so that they could perhaps lead small groups, missional communities, house churches in their neighbourhoods, in homes, in workplaces? And what if every believer understood that they've got the seed of the church within them, a bit like every apple has seeds within it? I mean, it would just release so much potential that has multiplication built into it. And I reckon that's more akin to what I might start with if I was setting up a church with no reference point other than the Bible. And I sense maybe that's sort of where God is on the move. And it doesn't mean there isn't still a role for the bigger church, but it's about that releasing those into the kind of smaller context. Sorry, I've gone on that one.
Oh.
I think you are speaking the words in a much more eloquent way than that have been on so many people's hearts. Certainly, I know they're on my heart. They're on Tom's heart. We've both been sat here. I've been watching kind of both of us nodding, like those nodding dogs that you get in the back of cars. Yes, this, more of this, and I know we'd love to hear a lot more about this. But if there's one thing most important thing that people who are watching this today or later on, if they could take one thing away, what would that be? What would be your call to action?
Oh, I want 3.
Okay. I tell you what. As it's you, you can have you can have 3. You can have 3 then.
I think if you're in a position of leadership, something around adaptive change. So actually, rather than building a structure that's there forever to support what God is doing, because that can end up inhibiting what God is doing, let's think of it like scaffolding that we can kind of unconfigure and then reconfigure to keep supporting what God is doing. So that's if you're in a position of leadership. I think also not to feel we have to be people of vision. Actually, the Bible passage, often translated as vision, is more about revelation. So it's about seeing what God is up to and helping one another discern what he is up to. And that's more about God's revelation. And I think we beat ourselves up at the moment because we're looking for a roadmap out of this and out of things. And we can't be certain what to do. And we feel that we're letting God down and letting our people down. But actually, let's look to be a people of revelation. So don't beat yourself up. Look for what God is doing. Seek to join in with it. And then thirdly, I just think a passage. Where did I write it down? Oh, it's a 1 John something passage. One of you guys look it up because I haven't got my phone at the moment. It's 1 John passage that talks about God loving us lavishly. Can you look that one up and read it to me if you can find it? It's 1 John.
This is the Bible section of Beards, Bibles and Brews. Simon, he has a Bible.
And I've left my phone out and my Bible is propping up my laptop.
as is the way. Sorry, where did you say it was? 1 John?
1 John, and it's the one that says something like lavish, something or other. Lavishly pouring his love upon us.
Good. Right, you guys talk amongst yourselves while I try and find this.
Well, you're thumbing through a Bible. I'm going to take the millennial approach and just Google 1 John, lavishly pouring, 1 John 4:10.
Thank you.
Dear Father, I thank you for lavishly pouring out your love upon me. Is the site I've got them? There we go. 1 John. 1 John 4:10. If you're there, Simon.
I am there.
Can you read it again?
I am, but I don't have lavish. I've got
only 1 John. Oh, see, this is this way. Google. Try 1 John 3.
1 John 3.
Yeah, depends what translate have, I guess.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
No, that's not it either.
I might try and Google.
So I've got I've got the NIV.
Yeah, 1 John, 1 John 3:1. See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God, and that is what we are.
That passage.
I was looking at 1 John 3:10.
I want everyone to take that passage. Remember throughout this that actually we're children of God, and God has lavished His love on us. And I looked up. Somebody was reading that passage the other day, and I looked up the word lavish, and it means to drench, a downpour, and it's usually used in the context of rain. So I've got a lot of feedback, by the way, but this huge downpour. And I felt God saying to me, Linz, stop putting your umbrella up. Stop putting your umbrella up. And I think for everyone here, stop putting your umbrella up. Just let God drench you with the downpour of His love. And because we're so busy trying to get this all right. And God's saying, just take your umbrella down. Receive that lavishness of my love. That's it. Oh, you're back. Thank you.
We were there. That's why you get feedbacks. We were on, but just audio wise. Lindsay, that's amazing. I could listen to you speak about this. Like Simon said, this is so dear to your heart. It's so dear to our hearts too. And this really is the central key thing of us moving forward as church, but more than church, as Christians moving forward worldwide into this new era. This is so centrally important, isn't it? And wow, thank you so much for coming and sharing those things from your heart today, Lindsay. I just want to thank you so much. They're absolutely wonderful. It's gave me loads to think about moving forward. I know it's probably gave Simon loads to think about as well. And I'm gonna I know Simon said at the start he doesn't like to re-listen to himself when he's been on. When us three were chatting just before we came on, but this is one of the I don't either. But this is one of those I'm definitely going to have to sit and listen through again, so I can just take some notes. Because when you're in the middle of listening and clicking on things, it's different. So I want to sit. I'm going to listen to this. I'm going to take some notes. I'm going to pray about those points. Lindsay, I want to thank you so much for sharing all that with us.
Thank you.
A little bit of time now where you can let us know what you're doing at the moment. If there's anything that you'd like us to be praying for, anything that you want to put out there and promote that people can look at and engage with to hear more about the wonderful stuff you're saying.
Possibly not loads. I think pray for me in my current context. And when I say my current context, I mean my neighborhood, my community. I don't want to say too much because I don't know who's going to see this, so I don't want to give too many details, but just pray for what God is doing in my street. Because I have that thing about place and that sense of not just calling to this out there stuff, but actually what is God doing here? I've really felt God saying that over the last couple of years, actually as soon as I moved here. So, so just pray for me that I'll hear from God and that I won't get that thing you were talking about, rest right at the beginning, that I won't get so busy with doing stuff that I haven't got time for those moments where I'm listening to see what God is doing on my front line. And I think that's really important. So pray for that. That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I said at the start about how, me and Simon love you. You're amazing. I'm sure anybody who watched this is now filled with that same feeling after hearing about that wonderful passion of everything you speak about and knowing that local context around you is about to receive that God kick through that passion. I think just absolutely amazing. And so if you're watching, please do hold Lindsay in your prayers with that and everything that God is going to do in her context where she is at the moment. And please do, of course, make sure that you join us next month. And now Simon has gave us that time, the last Thursday of the month. So the 25th of March, I always get confused February, March, because the days are always the same. The 25th of March at 2 p.m, when we will be joined next time by David Sims. So he's the author of an upcoming series called Creation to the Crib. It's a series of 25 Advent reflections, and it's made for the whole family, rather than just being just for kids or just for adults. So we're going to be discussing where that idea came from and what it's all about. So please do make sure that you join us live at 2 p.m. Or, of course, you can always catch us up later. And I want to say, if there is anything that you would like us to discuss, then please do let us know. Drop it in the comments into the video. Tell us what you fancy hearing about. The reason we asked Lindsay to come on and share with us some today is because so many people are asking about the future of church going forward. So tell us what you fancy hearing about, and we will scour the face of the earth. Well, we won't. We'll probably look through our social media friends and various contact lists, but we shall find you someone who ranges from novice to expert like we've had on today, to come on and chat to you about that topic.
We will indeed. And until that next time, friends, we just want to thank Lindsay again. We want to bless her through her community back to her. And keep yourself safe. Keep praying. Keep seeking God. Ask God what he is calling you to in your front line, because you all have one, wherever you are, wherever you find yourselves. So stay safe. May God bless you, and may God keep you, and may he equip and enable and release you into his mission. We cannot wait to see you again next time. God bless you all.
God bless.